Hello everyone, myself Dr. Jyoti Gangude. I am going to teach you the subject that is General Pathology, paper 6, that is ZY 336. And we are discussing regarding the chapter that is Introduction and the topic that is Postmortem Changes. So this is very interesting topic, that is postmortem changes. So the postmortem changes and decompositional changes are of critical importance in estimating the post-mortem interval when used in conjunction with the history, terminal events and the scene findings. The physical appearance of the body may be altered drastically and artifacts of decomposition should be recognized and differentiated from true antemortem, means before death, antemortem disease and injury. So, in addition to the degenerative changes occurring with the passage of time, the body may be subjected to elements of weather, then insects and animal activity and other environmental factors such as submersion in water. Here, the postmortem changes are important because they may distort the feature of the true antemortem injury. So, create artifactual lesions that mimic the true antemortem injury or disease and obliterate markers of identity such as facial features. So, therefore, accurate evaluation of decomposing body requires that the examiner be familiar with the evolution of post-mortem changes. The medical examiner determines the cause of death either due to the accident, suicide or criminal homicide, and he or she or a forensic pathologist may determine the mechanism and manner of death, either the damage of brain which resulting from blunt trauma or either loss of blood from the gunshot or forming the wound, etc. The medical examiner and the forensic pathologist also can employ methods to narrow the window of death, all of which involve treating a sequential change in the decrease as a post-mortem clock. The physicochemical characteristic and changes evaluated may include the things such as post-mortem cooling, or it is also called as a algor mortis, then ocular changes, post-mortem lividity, or which is also called as livor mortis, then post-mortem rigidity, and it is nothing but the rigor mortis, then cadaveric spasm, followed by stomach contents and putrefaction. These are some characteristic changes. They can be evaluated. So, we can see all the characteristics one by one. Here, the first is post-mortem lividity, or which is also called as a livor mortis. Here, the first to be considered is a livor mortis or lividity. Again, the another name for this is dependent hypostasis. These endings represents the characteristic settling of blood based on gravity, which occur death. In death occurring other than as a result of drowning, a purplish blue discoloration will occur because of the settling of blood by gravity. So, this gravitational movement of blood to the lowest point is referred to as livor mortis. In addition to this, the discoloration resulting from gravity pulling capillary blood to the bottommost point. So, there they may be pale areas where the skin was pressed against the hard surface or the object, preventing sedimentation. Here, the blood pulled to the bottommost point of the body, if left undisturbed, begins to coagulate after approximately 2 hours and become immune to the effects of gravity. If a person died on a hard floor with face upward, areas on the back and the legs not in contact with floor would turn purple blue. In case of buttocks, shoulder and heels would be pale or pale white because of the intrusion of the hard surface on the sedimentation process. Here the development of lividity is a gradual and progressive process that may begin as early as 20 minutes after the death. So the discovery of liver in areas inconsistent with the pull of gravity would strongly suggest that the body was moved after the death and after the onset of lividity. Then the next characteristic, that is post-mortem cooling. Post-mortem cooling, or it is also called as a algor mortis. So the post-mortem body temperature declines progressively until it reaches the surrounding temperature, and such a process is known as algor mortis. Under normal condition, the body cools at the rate that is 2 degree Fahrenheit per hour during the first hours and at the slower rate. Therefore, here the average rate of the loss, that is temperature loss, is 1.5 degree Fahrenheit per hour during the first 12 hours, and after that here 1 degree Fahrenheit per hour after the next 18 hours. So at this rate the body cools. So the skin of human body cools first and rapidly. Therefore, skin temperature is not useful in determining temperature decline. Here the temperature changes in the inner core of the body carry the greatest weight. Inner, or what we say is that the core temperature, that is inside of the organ temperature. Here the temperature changes in the inner core of the body carry the greatest weight. Because of these or such a rate are slower and more regular. So most forensic pathologists assess core temperature on an hour's basis by measuring rectal temperature. Although the post-mortem cooling of a body may be used in approximating the time interval since death, the level of accuracy remains low. Here, this does not mean that the post-mortem temperature measurements are of no use in determining the post-mortem interval, only that any body, that is cooling data, need to be viewed cautiously. A number of variables affect the post-mortem cooling. The variables such as, here you can see, increasing the body fat and clothing may each decrease the cooling rate. Then wind and moving air may accelerate the body cooling. Again, the factors such as immersion in the cold water which accelerate the body cooling. Whereas here one more characteristic such as ambient temperature affects the cooling rate, or it has different factors or the characteristic such as, here the cooler the air around the body, the more rapid the post-mortem cooling. Conversely, the warmer is the air around the body, the slower the cooling. Here, indeed, if the temperature around the body is greater than that of the body temperature will increase rather than decrease. So, this is what about the characteristic of the what we says that the post-mortem cooling. Now, the next, that is ocular changes. Ocular changes. So, the eyes often exhibit the first sign of post-mortem changes. When the eyes remain open, a thin film can be seen on the corneal surface within minutes after death. This film will escalate into corneal clouding within 2 to 3 hours of death. If the eyes are closed, the filming and clouding may be delayed by 24 hours or longer. So, these are the ocular changes. After that, the next, that is post-mortem rigidity, or it is also called as rigor mortis. So, following the death, the muscles of the body first become flaccid and then become increasingly stiff. The stiffness of the muscles, which eventually freezes the joints, and such a process is known as rigor mortis. So, this stiffening develops and disappears at a similar depth in all muscle groups, but is first evident in the smaller muscles, which led early investigators to believe that the rigor began at the head and progressed downwards. So, the only reason that rigor is evident in the head first is because of the comparatively small mass of muscles throughout the head. In average circumstances, rigor becomes apparent within 13 minutes of death and increases progressively to a maximum within 12 hours. So, it remains for about 12 hours and then progressively disappears within that is following 12 hours. Here the progression of rigor may be modified by a variety of factors. Here the rigor is accelerated by again hot environmental conditions. Again, contrast to this here, the cold, which slows the chemical decomposition and onset of rigor. Another variable that may be affect the onset of rigor is muscle mass, which is absent in children, the elderly and the chronically underweight. The appearance of rigid limbs in position inconsistent with gravity should raise a strong suspicion that the body was moved after the onset of rigor. Now, this is what about the post-mortem rigidity. The next, that is what the cadaveric spasm. So, the cadaveric spasm is a phenomenon more common among drowning than dry land death. Here, however, there have been instances of dry land cadaveric spasm in deaths accompanied by great excitement or tension. A forceful contraction of seizure is conveyed almost immediately into rigor. So, dispensing with the stage of muscle flaccidity. So, this rigor is not a product of chemical decomposition, but rather a response during life to impending death and accompanying the anxiety or excitement. So, cadaveric spasm, which is nothing but the dry land death. Now, the next is stomach contents. So, here upon the presence of food in the stomach and its appearance may be helpful in determining an approximate time of death. So, the type of food itself may be instrumental in determining the activities of deceased just prior to death. Here, the time calculations are based on the fact that the stomach empties at the rate that can be estimated. Here, the reason of the rate can only be estimated is that it is determined by the amount and type of food, drug or alcohol ingested as well as the physical and emotional condition of the deceased. Now this is what about the stomach contents. Now come to the last point, that is putrefaction. So here the rate that the body decomposes as the result of bacterial or microorganismal action depends primarily on the environmental temperature and prior physical state of the decedent. So it is generally accepted that the putrefaction in the air is more rapid than the putrefaction in water, and which is more rapid than the putrefaction in soil. So here 1 week in air equals to week in water and 8 weeks in soil. So the exposure to cold is also delays the decomposition, and again it is necessary to determine the ambient temperature to which the body has been exposed, or when assessing rate of decomposition. Here the body lying outdoor in the cold weather will decompose much slower than the body resting indoors in a heated environment, or again outdoors during the summer. Here the fact of the warm days and the cold nights must also be taken into consideration in the case of outdoor deaths. So in general, the decomposition begins within 20 to 30 hours of death, and it starts or can be seen in the greenish discoloration of the right lower abdominal area. The discoloration is followed by gaseous floating and greenish discoloration of the face along with the fluids, and begin purge from the mouth. As decomposition continues, the tongue swells and protrudes from the mouth, and the eyes bulge. The discoloration of the face begins to spread to the chest and arms within about 48 hours. So the discoloration of the skin may be so pronounced that the racial classification of the body may be mistaken. As decomposition progresses, the skin begins to slip, and after 3 days the body becomes blotted. The shading of the skin of the hand, including again the fingernails, which is called as a gloving. The shading of the skin around the feet and leg, it is called as stocking. The gloves, one shade can render the fingerprints, but the skin may be inside out, rendering a reverse print. Taking print from gloves should be done by person trained in the proper process. So all of the 7 methods used by medical persons to arrive at a time of death, and all data which is must be viewed as a approximation, and it must be used accordingly. So here what this is all about the post-mortem changes. So with this we finish the first chapter, that is introduction. Thank you so much.